to the real world and
36
recruit
people to die.
36 to 54. I knew they're pretty good at math, adding 18 every time.
Yeah.
They just they're working the
Yeah,
fall. I don't know how the fall relates to working,
laborers.
but whatever.
Right.
And then summer.
We're gonna work for winter.
You gotta harvest in the
Yeah.
fall.
Prepare for winter. Oh yeah, harvest in the fall.
50.
Yeah, simple as that.
That's true. That's true. Oh, interesting.
Come on now.
54 to
I took
72.
soils.
Wisdom. And then they ask, "Oh, Pele, what's after 72?" He goes, puts his fingers on his neck, and he goes the slashing of a throat
you
symbol.
love it.
And they go, haha, really funny, Pele. And the next scene, this is what I want to get into. They're having a normal feast and just enjoying themselves. And they bring out these two old people, and they're enjoying their time. And they brought up Astifer, I think it's called. No, Antistupa.
Antistupa? What is this?
Which is the thing they called in Nordic tradition where old people are either thrown off cliffs or throw themselves off cliff for human sacrifice. So it might be. I think it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
So
It's a
probably
real
is a
tradition.
real thing, and it's funny.
Probably
too.
ancient.
Yeah,
Probably some Viking
Well,
tradition.
I bet a lot it's based on true stuff.
Yeah.
This guy seems to do his research.
It's funny too that you say because with Hereditary, if we go back to that, it's about Payman.
Yeah, that's some
and
real
he's
shit.
in a lot of the little
not go too
details.
into that much.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but a lot of the details in that movie too relate to a lot of what Payman's about. So the director really does do his homework on not only the region that the movies are taking place in, but also the culture behind that too, which I think is really awesome. You really do get little historical tidbits.
Speaking of culture, there's another part. I think it's the first night they're there when they're all kind of just sitting in the room or whatever, and one Swedish girl walks over and she's like to Pelly and the American friends. She says something in Swedish, and then she's like, "We're going to watch Austin Powers. Do you guys want to come?"
Oh yeah,
yeah, it seemed like a youth group vibe. It was kind of we're having a little ceremony, bro. Let's
honestly.
have some fun.
We're gonna.
Right.
And then the next day,
we got pizza.
they bring out the two old people, and then they go to the cliff. They're all nervous. They drink their last shot, and then they go to the cliff, and then the people from the United States just looking on.
Also, wait, before we get to that, how messed up is it that Pele goes to Josh while they're sleeping in the commune bed area that night and explains what's about to happen the next day, and Danny, Mark, and Christian are all like, "What? What is he talking about? What's he saying?" And he's like, "Oh, I can't spoil it. I can't spoil it." I'm sorry. I don't care if you're doing research or whatever.
Did he actually tell Josh what it was, or was Josh?
Josh
just
knew.
acting
So
smug?
he says the word in Swedish, I think.
Antistupa.
And he's like, "Oh, he's like, really? It's gonna happen, really?" And he's like, he's excited for it. And then Danny and all them what? What's about to happen? And doesn't say anything. He's like, "You just gotta wait. You just gotta experience."
I'm sure
it.
at that point he probably thought that it was just going to be some symbolization of that.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Yeah.
because
you don't expect
it
to
went.
see.
So the old people go to the cliff,
in person.
and all of a sudden the old guy just jumps off the cliff, and it went 0 to 100 real quick.
The old woman goes first.
Yeah, true. The old woman goes first.
She
Yeah,
went the
what-
right way.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I had to
dude.
do it, that's how you go down.
Do you remember the shot when Danny's looking up at them?
And they make
And
direct eye
she looks at her,
contact,
and
yo.
she looks at the old woman, and it's just her face over the cliff. And I swear to God, that woman looked so much like Danny.
Yes.
Ooh.
And I think that's
'Cause-
Steve. I think that's why they make direct eye contact. 'Cause I think it symbolizes
The
the
whole
whole
time,
circle of
They
life.
treat her like family. It's like she was meant to be a part of it.
Yeah. And it's really interesting, too, because we discovered, too, that Pele comes from a broken home, too. And I'm guessing most of the people in that commune maybe did as well, which is really
Wait.
interesting.
Didn't he say my parents died in a fire?
Yeah.
What if they were sacrifices? Probably not.
Oh,
but
no. Imagine if... Because my parents died on fire.
Yeah, I
Everyone
feel
goes
like
up at
he
the
would-
end.
Yeah, because the fire at the end. Yeah,
Like, it makes sense, but at the same time, if he was truly, indoctrinated, he wouldn't think that was a horrible thing.
Right.
Also, kind of going off the theme of you join a cult for family, like Waco. Everyone in that cult joined there because they needed a family,
Yeah.
Right.
and so it kind of keeps the theme with cults. And yeah,
It's really interesting, too, because if we go to Waco, I'm talking about my experience from seeing the Netflix documentary miniseries, not
From
documentary.
being in the Waco
From
cult.
a part of it and escaping.
I
People
was
don't know
there.
about this, but I was there. No, But it's interesting too the way they depict the individuals in Waco, because I don't know if you guys agree, but while watching that miniseries, they don't really seem like they're bad people, and like everyone,
not at all.
like they did bad things, like they did illegal things, but it seems like all the surrounding people escalated the situation. Maybe,
Yeah.
and even in this situation, we have Kevin, right? Or you got me saying that now, Mark.
I call him Kevin.
No one
Steve
called
did.
him
Oh,
Kevin.
Wait, what would you say?
Kenny.
Kenny. Fuck. All right, but yeah, you have Mark, and you have that moment where like he pees on like the sacrificial tree or the
Dude gets pissed.
the ancestral tree. That's what it's called.
Yeah, that was
Where
wild.
they-
And I guess it can
Did
just
you
show
see-
like
I'm just taking a piss.
Okay,
yeah.
I want their oven for cremation that they use to like burn the bodies. Also, like, dude, when they showed the mashed in heads, like,
Oh
can
my,
you guys
yeah.
look at that? Because I struggle. I looked
I
at
thought
it
was
this
pretty
time.
cool. I
but
liked it.
It
I
is like
cringed a
it's
bit.
wicked cool, but sometimes I'm just like I'm closing my eyes.
It was I mean,
I
especially
feel
when
like
you
a
know,
lot of
yeah.
movies they kind of hide that. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
loved how
I
open it
respected
was. I
Ari
did. That was
Aster's
sick.
artistic choice to be like very
Raw
like
with it.
gruesome.
Like they're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
they're like like everybody's watching just this mashed in
Yeah.
skull.
And don't they
Just
cook
go
all their
on.
meals off that too?
I don't know.
Ooh,
I'm pretty
I don't
sure
know.
they do.
But the
I'm pretty
oven
sure
was
they
sick,
do.
and they like pull the thing out with the ashes,
What were you
and
saying?
then
Yeah.
they dumped the ashes into the roots of the fallen tree.
Right.
That's what made it like it was the tree of their ancestors.
Were you saying something before?
He was talking about the ancestral
Yeah, I was just
tree.
talking
Okay.
about the ancestral tree. Yeah,
Interesting.
When Kenny pisses on it.
Kenny pisses on it. Yeah, but I don't know. That was the one thing that like about like him. This is why he's my least favorite character, is because I get it. He's there for comedic relief, and I probably wouldn't understand that was like a ancestral tree or a spiritual tree either. But he's just like so like obliviously ignorant and like
Yeah.
they obviously do it on purpose. I think,
The classic
but
American.
he's just like so ignorant it hurts. You know.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he was funny. So after they jump off the cliff, Mark
Mhm.
goes like, "Oh man, the one time you didn't get me, I was taking a nap. Why
Yeah.
didn't you get me?" Like
Yeah.
that was funny. I'm like, I just like these like, little lines.
Fair.
I just have an interesting question. If you were there and you were experiencing this culture as an outsider, would you completely shut it down? Like, well, this is horrible. What are you guys doing? Or would you like kind of respect their culture? Because I mean, they are consenting to it. They're 72. Let me finish. They're 72-year-old people. They're consenting to it, and it's like they brought up a good point. Like, it's more. Is it more ethical to them just to go on their own terms, or to like be in a
Assisted living.
assisted
or
living
something.
home till like they're 95, their
Chri-
family doesn't see
I
them
think
anymore?
it's Christian who makes that point. He's like, they probably
Yeah.
look at us putting our old people in senior homes as disgusting.
Yeah, so like I don't. What's your thought on that?
I don't know. I mean, that's tough
If
because
I witnessed it and they didn't tell me what was about to happen, I would.
I'd be.
I
I'd
would
leave.
not be
I would
about
leave
it.
right then.
Yeah.
But
I
would
think
you?
that
Would you
that's,
think
like-
they're like bad people, barbaric people, or we just kind of respect their?
I wouldn't necessarily understand it.
Yeah, personally
yeah.
horrified, but wider perspective,
I think it'd
wouldn't
be
think
pretty
that they were
inconsiderate
like.
too for them not to explain what was about to happen to outsiders
Okay.
too.
But
But I
I-
think that you'd have to, especially because they
Yeah.
know that they're outsiders and they
Yeah.
don't explain. That's
I
pretty
don't.
inconsiderate.
I don't
you
think
know?
that it's like that evil of a practice though
Yeah.
for old people.
bizarre
to,
for
No.
us.
It's
The
definitely
taboo.
bizarre.
Yeah.
But I'm sure,
Yeah.
maybe not now, but throughout history, there's been many.
Oh my God.
Many
There's a-
sacrifices.
What is it?
Aztecs.
Crucifying on the cross.
I don't know. That was
like-
more of a punishment, I think. But the Aztecs.
Well, the
that was also a punishment too.
Yeah.
kinda. But
It was mostly slaves and prisoners.
what were
They
the
did
ones
that
in
too.
the Andes? Those Incas. No,
The Incas?
They burned people, right? Or the Mayans?
I don't know. I'm not
Well,
sure.
it's just weird how much sacrifice there was.
Yeah.
Do you
It's all
think?
spiritual.
Yeah,
I mean, it
you
all
gotta-
connects
you
to,
gotta
like,
pay
their
in blood.
spiritualness.
Do you think that sacrifice throughout time was kind of a justification of like just killing like the bad people? Like they had bad people they could put in prison that would cost cost them money, or they could just kill them like, oh, it's for God,
I don't think so.
and they believe that maybe.
I think honestly, my take on sacrifice, human sacrifice, I think it
think
started
it's good.
off.
Yeah.
It's good. I think it's
Bring it
amazing.
back.
No, I think it started off in every sense of the word as a sacrifice. Because I think when you think of like the start of civilizations, you really needed every person to be like put their input, to put their foot forward,
Yeah.
to boost the culture forward. Boost the society forward.
Some people just had to die for the culture.
But so I think that's what it is. So I think obviously, and still now we have spiritualness where you pray to a higher being, And there's practices in different religions where they sacrifice still, but it's animal sacrifice. It's different. But I think that all stems from the fact of you're taking something that's very, very like crucial to one's survival as a whole, as a community of social beings, and you're saying, I'm putting my higher power above that. So it is, in every sense, a sacrifice. You're taking away from the resources to build your civilization up in hopes that your God will look favorably upon you, I think.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know if I worded that
you
like...
need those
That
able
makes sense.
bodies to like improve your society, but
Right.
you're like, listen, like, I'll give this up if you guys
if you bless us.
up here,
'Cause-
help us out.
Right.
Back then, they probably had no idea. I mean, we still have no idea what's going on, like what life is.
Right.
But back then, they had no science or anything. So maybe they thought, like, we rely on God. And, like, they probably superstitiously looked at it as, like, all right, we killed Bob last week, so... And it rained.
Yeah.
So we'll kill Stacy this week or something.
Right. I
Really
think,
messed up.
honestly,
So maybe it wasn't... So you think it was...
Trial and error sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think it was
You
more...
gotta kill the right people.
Yeah, that was really interesting, though.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it genuinely. I think it has every sense to do with the word. I think it literally stems from what it is. The word.
Sacrificing for more.
Yeah, you're creating a personal
yeah.
sacrifice for hopefully the gain in the
You-
future
yeah.
of your group.
Like sacrificing an animal, you could have eaten that.
Exactly.
I'm so
You're taking away food from yourself in hopes that the God that you're praying to will bless your area with rainfall for the whole year. You don't have to worry about like devastation, whether it be a supernatural, whether it be like storms or weather or like other stuff.
I'm
Are
just
we
so,
having a sacrifice tonight?
I think we might.
no, I'm just so happy that I live in 2020 and not 2000. I mean, I live in 2021 and not 2021
Sweden in
BC.
2019.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it'd be kind of spooky if, like, right now I guess you worry about, like, I gotta pass my classes, I gotta make sure I do good at my job. But back then it was, I hope I don't lose this
The
archaic
lottery
game of
system,
soccer,
yeah.
or I'm gonna be sacrificed by the Aztec priests.
Or someone's gonna flay me open but leave my lungs breathing so I'm
Oh my
alive.
gosh! Yeah, that scene is so unsettling.
Wait,
when you
what
like,
it-
What scene you
What
talking
is
about?
that called again?
What scene?
oh, it's called the something cross, right? Or angel? No, it's like it's wings, right?
It's got a name.
It's got a name for sure. This
Oh,
is when,
Simon, right?
Simon.
Yeah.
Simon's in the
Simon's
he's in
fate.
the chicken coop.
Dude, they
Yeah.
were just letting the roosters like play with him too. Come on, man.
How didn't we
treat him
notice
with-
too?
Treat the bloke with some respect.
Did you notice how they had like the hand sticking out of the ground too?
Yeah,
later
it was
on?
a foot.
How did we notice
was
that?
gonna
The whole, or how didn't they notice that? Because I don't think
Well,
they
at
showed
that point, Christian was butt ass naked,
Yeah,
having in the middle of a bad trip.
bad.
Post nut clarity was at an all time high, but he was not observing his surroundings.
He just like looks so uncomfortable, and it makes me feel so uncomfortable watching him on screen. He's just like his face is oh.
By the way, Christian needs to wear like less loose shirts. You guys notice that?
yeah,
He's wearing those
the
V-necks
deep
a lot, right?
V's.
Yeah.
Like it was like I feel like he overwashed his shirts a little bit. He needs some like tied or something.
You
We're
think-
just pulling on him.
You think there is
Maybe
any
a little nervous tying, pulling.
Do you think there was any symbolism in his name being Christian, in the fact that it was like a not paganistic but different gods cult, and they definitely looked upon him as like the least. The beast actually.
So I don't know how to answer that because I don't know how I feel. Like I don't have a necessarily a well-crafted answer to that. But I will follow.
I was just throwing that out.
No, but I will follow that up by asking you because you do
Okay.
bring up a great point by saying that. I want to see if you can maybe answer your own question and then answer this as well.
Okay.
With them, because I totally agree, he is looked upon as the least favored out of the group. He's like the most impure. I feel like.
Yeah.
Why would they let the redheaded girl sleep with him and like carry his child? They're a compatible match. Like as the least favorable person, you can tell like he's bad. They know he's bad. And that scene that always gets me is when he's like having a really bad trip. He's like, "What's going on?" And the guy's like, "Shh." Like,
He claps.
yeah, he claps. He just
And
claps
he
in
just
his
goes
face.
into it.
But like
He
you know what I
just
mean? Like they
go-
treat him like literally like dirt, like nothing. And like for them to like let one of their own carry his kid.
I know.
Because
Maybe-
wouldn't that kid just be like impure too? Then at the point?
Maybe they knew that Danny and Christian were like very tight, and she was.
They weren't really.
Well, I mean,
They're
yeah, but they were
relationship
dating.
was,
All right,
It was
so
a terrible
Christian was.
relationship. They knew that it was falling apart. I think.
Christian
Yeah.
was her last like
line to anything.
Last line to the reality
Like
world.
I said, she
Right.
was alone.
So maybe if they kind of incriminated Christian, then Danny would have nowhere else to go,
Because yeah, she does.
and then
see it.
she'd sacrifice Christian, and then she'd have to